Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about a conditional access policy, right? A conditional access policy is a feature of Microsoft Entra ID and which is another layer of security across the 365 environment where we would be enforcing the policy on end users as well as whenever they are accessing any of the workloads across Microsoft 365. So it is going to simply be pushed across the users, locations, device, applications, and also it's going to identify the risks, and then it's going to identify whether user has access to the right set of apps and resources and data across 365. So here you see the conditional access evaluation, how it works and what it does exactly. So you see there is a security service edge and then conditional access evaluation, and inside that you see the different capabilities which are running behind the conditional access policy, like what are the different signals, how it identifies and detect different access levels as well as workloads, and then let's say there's machine learning, real-time evaluation engine, effective policy, unified policies, and at the left side you see the different signals as well as workloads with identity workload groups, then roles, then risks, trusted and compliant devices, apps and data, locations and compliant network. At the right side you see different applications and resources. Along with that you see there are different conditions or maybe filters. If a user is a part of particular group and the conditional control says that this group has access to a resource, then it's going to let that user or group of people access those resources with the allow condition. And if it is required, that's the second layer when it's going to enforce users to ask for the required details. It's the second layer of security or second method of authentication, right? And then block and restrict. So block is going to simply block the access when it is not really allowed to those group of people, identities, applications, or devices. So basis on the filters, basis on the conditions and controls that we put in place in the conditional access policy is simply going to deny the access and block it. Here we see an important note which says conditional access policies are enforced after first factor authentication is completed. What does that mean is conditional access is not intended for the organization as a defense line or the first line of defense for scenarios like DDoS attacks or DOS attacks, but it is the signals from these events to determine the access as an first line, right? So that's not the appropriate measures even if we set it up correctly, right? And next we see how the conditional access policy is going to be built. So these are just in snaps, but I'm going to show in real time as well, as in how we can create conditional access policy in real time and how we can put different filters, different controls in place so that what we wanted to achieve, what we wanted to target, be it application, a group, a device, a service principal, or whatever it is, right? So here you see the under assignments, we have users, target resources, network, and the conditions, and access control has grant and sessions. So we'll see that here. So under assignments, we have users where we would be assigning this policy to either include or exclude. By including right set of users, they would have right set of access as per the policy. If we exclude, they would have the access as well as we would be excluding them out of the policy. At the same level, we have target resources where including applications or services, user actions, along with that global secure access, which is in preview, and then the authentication context. So here we have the same thing or the same capabilities which we talked. Applications and services, which we are allowing or blocking to part of this conditional access policy, along with the user actions, what they can do, they cannot do, and kind of if and else statement, right? Along with that, global secure access as well. So in order to provide right traffic of access over the global secure access service, which is set up within the Microsoft 365, right? And then we have next cloud apps or actions, which can also be included or excluded along with the user actions, and then authentication context, which is subjected to the policy, and then integration with the defender for cloud apps, and then conditional access policy, which is going to be a real-time visibility to control over the access and activities performed within the cloud environment, so be it application, user, or device, or whatever it is. And then next comes the conditions. So conditions is going to be something which we will be defining, right? So the conditions is going to be either sign in risk or user risk, which is going to be a part of Entra ID protection, right? And that can also be bind together with conditional access policy to identify suspicious actions or activities by user accounts, and then it's going to trigger the policy, and then it's going to take the right actions, like either to block the access or provide the access, or maybe it's going to flag that there was a so and so action which is not expected at all, but that is happening, or that should be reported to concern maybe team or concern department or whoever is going to take care of that. And the next is device platform, which is characterized by the operating system that runs the device, can be used when enforcing conditional access policies as well. For example, by selecting the device as a filter, and this policy is going to be applied on it. So let's say that Windows 10 is the platform or device which we wanted to target, is going to target that device in order to, or is a part of this conditional access policy, and then it is going to put allow or block conditions there too. Then the IP location information, then the client applications filters for devices as well. So these are the different conditions altogether that we can put in place, and then is going to simply block it, or not only block, but it also going to give the right set of access as we set it up. And then we have the access controls to either to block the access then and there, or grant access. Along with that, we have sessions as well within the conditional access policy. It is going to take control over the sessions and how we wanted to manage those sessions as well, in order to provide a persistent session access or access on a particular resource, right? Whether it is on a compliant device, or it is on a particular application level, or the access should be granted for a particular period or duration. So that way we can simply set it up, and then it is going to let people access. So in simple terms, so conditional access policy is going to be if and then else statement, right? And it simply says that if the first condition says yes, it needs access, then it is going to do it, else block the access, right? So this is kind of a simple example where you can understand the conditional access policy in a simple way, and once you do it, you will see it. So let's see that in action. I'll just open Entra portal here quickly, which is identity portal from here, and then I'm going to create a conditional access policy, and then you can see how it looks like, as well as how it here conditional access. And under policies, we will just create a brand new policy. I have created many here, but we'll create a brand new, and then you'll get an idea how you can create conditional access policy, as well as how it works. CA for cloud apps. So I'm just giving a random name. Also, I can select all users or exclude any of the users or group or any group or directory roles or inter guest as well as external users. So similarly, I can scope all users as well as a specific group and then select the respective group from here, whether directory role, users and groups, and then external identity or external groups. I'll target all, then target resources here. So target resources, it could be either of this list where cloud applications, user actions, global secure access preview, and then the authentication context that we saw. And then under exclude, we have two filters here with edit filters for the devices as well as for attributes. And for the select exclude applications, from here we can exclude any of the cloud application where we don't want this policy to be applied at all. So we can do that as well from here. So let's go back, and under here we will select all the cloud apps and then network. So under network, I'm not going to select anything because I don't have, or we don't have anything here to be include and exclude within the tenant. So that's why I'm not going to select anything. So I'm just going to keep any network or any location, and there's nothing to be selected here as well. So that should be good. Under conditions, there are a bunch of conditions that we can see. So under user risk, we can select either high, medium, and low. So whatever the conditions we wanted to set up, or we can set up all and then save it. Then sign in risk. Also we have the same here: high, medium, low, and no risk at all. And then the insider risk. All right. So here is also insider risk feature, which says control access for users who are assigned specific risk level for from adaptive protection. Purview insider risk management feature. Insider risk levels are determined based on users' risky data related activities. So based on that, this is going to take the actions. And then the device platform. So which platform we wanted to select here. So we can include and exclude here as well. So I'll select any devices, and then the locations. Again, we have locations which we saw under the network side. From here also we will select the same, and then the client applications. So under client application, we have a bunch of options. So we can target all of these modern authentication as well as legacy authentication clients and then set it. And then the filter for devices. So here, this is very interesting. Let's say is compliant equals to true, then yes, and then again authentication flows, we can set it to yes or no, then we can set it to yes. As authentication flow is in preview mode, so this can be, or this cannot be used in production scenarios or production requirements, and there is no SLA on it as well. So it's better not to do it in production. Instead, you can use it in test or in the testing phase. So I'll make it to on, and then next we have access control, right? So under access control, we have different controls here to set it up, either block or allow access. And then if we are allowing, then we should have a second factor authentication, right? So that way we can put in place right conditions as well as right controls, and then it should be ready to go. So let's, all right. So here you see block and grant access. If I say block, then it's simply going to block all the access levels where we have put in place in this conditions and applications. If I say grant, then we can put or select additional options here in order to protect or put in second layer of protection, and we can select more than one here you see. And then at the last, we have multiple controls, then I can, or we can select one of the selected one or required all to be selected as a part of this one. So I'm going to select the second one and select this one, and At the last, we have session. So under session, we have again bunch of options to configure, right? So all of these options are different for different use cases, like sign in frequency can be set up, then conditional access app control policy, then persistent browser sessions, then customize continuous access evaluation. So all of these can be set, but for now I'm not going to set any and going to keep it. And at the enable policy option, here we see three options again: report only, on and off. So report in only is going to simply just be available, but it is not really going to impact end users experience as well as end users access level at all. Instead, it is going to be there, it is going to just capture the user accesses levels, how people are accessing different applications and resources within the tenant, and then it's simply going to kind of observing the access levels and everything together and be it there. Okay. So on and off, these are very aggressive options. If we set it to on, then this policy is going to be activated immediately, and then this is going to start affecting or making the impacts as per the configurations of this policy. And if we set it to off, then this is not going to do anything. Instead, it is turned off. So that way, there's nothing to happen, right? So simply I'll create this policy, and this is creating one. So as soon as it is created, perfect, this is created, and once we see that, we can simply go ahead and see, and we can go through the policy or edit or modify anything that whatever we wanted to do. And also at the top, you see few policy information. So this is the details about the policy, like policy ID and the creation date. So this is also be going to be used and useful when you are troubleshooting something, and whenever you wanted to do something programmatically, or maybe you wanted to do something with this deep dive on the policy side, then you can simply get this ID and use it. Or maybe you would need this ID from for to troubleshoot with Microsoft or Microsoft support in future maybe. So that way you can get these details. Yeah. So this was the conditional access policy. Now we can go back to the next topic, which is global secure access in Entra ID, which we saw there, right? It's the new set of products under Microsoft Global Secure Access, and which is unifying the term used Microsoft Entra Internet Access as well as Entra Private Access. So that is when Global Secure Access was introduced, and this is being publicly available. And also it is mostly focused on SaaS applications, which includes all Microsoft services along with the public internet apps, while protecting users, devices, and data against internet threats. Along with that, it also provides private access to users, and whether they are working from remote locations or from office or corporate network, and they can access all the corporate resources and private applications and data, everything. So this is also part of Zero Trust network along with identity and access management, and then we can use it on the identity, location, and devices to protect as well. And also it represents the network security category called Security Service Edge (SSE), and it helps to address security challenges which could be lateral movement through compromised VPN tunnels along with the perimeter around the internet-based assets, and improve service in remote office locations and branch offices and the people who are working from different locations altogether. So here you see a graphical representation which shows how it works really, which has zero trust methods as well, which is verify explicitly, use least privileges, and assume breach. So these are the principles of zero trust, right? And then it also applies on identities, endpoints, and remote workers, and at the middle layer you see Entra Internet Access and Entra Private Access, and over the Global Secure Access. So these are the two services which are on top of Global Secure Access, and then those are flowing through over the internet. So be it Microsoft apps, internet-based SaaS apps, or the corporate network from maybe from headquarter or from the company's location to another location, and then maybe from cloud, from infrastructure as services, platform as services, and any other SaaS systems across the cloud platforms, right? So here also another representation, which is from the endpoint, from the end user's device to the internet, and how that is secure enough, and then how it connects to on-premises environment over the internet using uh, VPN, or maybe over the proxy connectors, right? And it also provides the secure access to the all the resources and applications. So this is another sample here, which is also accessing the corporate resources from on-premises to cloud and using the global secure access. So which is, as it's zero trust principal access, and it really works as expected. So here we have the snapshot of how it works and what are the different traffic flows, and then we see different profiling which is in preview. Also we have some details about it, as it's in preview mode, so it's definitely going to be more improved and stable after some time. The next is Entra roles and role based access control, which is Entra role controls permissions to manage Entra resources. For example, we are allowing access to a user about creating and managing billing information across the tenant. So that's then built-in role, and that would be provided to user. So under built-in roles, we have global administrator, user admin, billing admin, similarly application administrator, and there are many others. So those are the administrator roles and can be assigned to different users across the organization basis on need basis or requirement basis. And also we have a capability to create a custom roles and grant certain permissions as a part of that custom role. So we can provide those permissions to that particular role and then assign it to that particular group or users or people who are going to work on particular task. And to grant those access to the users, we would be using the role-based access control. So basis on that, we can define what role they should have at what level, and then we can also revoke those roles when those are not needed, right? So definitely there would be a lot of questions: which role is needed, why that role is needed, what permissions is actually needed, and then basis on that, it could be either user admin, application admin role, or groups admin, and we can manage as well as provide those permissions to the respective people. So here is the Entra roles snap, which shows exchange admin, then Intune admin, then Entra at the center, then Teams administrator, security admin, then security center, then the defender for cloud, right? So all of these are the different roles, and which can be managed from Entra at central by providing role-based access control, and only those roles would be accessible or given to the people. There's a bit difference, or there are some differences between Entra RBAC and Azure RBAC, uh, which is Entra has built-in roles and the custom roles are from a form of RBAC. In that, we can control access levels in Entra features, resources, as well as Microsoft Entra based RBAC by creating and combining roles together and assign it to the different groups and teams and users. And in Azure also we have RBACs by creating RBACs and then assign the same those roles to the different resources, be it virtual machines or storage accounts or any resources within the Azure tenant or Azure subscription. So in the Azure, we have many different roles for different services or different resources, different uh, within the same resource group or within the same tenant. But in Entra, we have built-in rules as well as we can create custom. And also in the Azure as well, we have capability to create custom roles as well by modifying the existing permissions and adding those to the groups or users or by the to the Entra roles, right? So yeah, that's all about the roles are back as well as access management capabilities of Entra, right? Do okay. So yeah, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, if any questions, put them in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching.